1. Back in 2014, I was a back waiter on a cruise ship in Hawaii. The ship was in port on the northern island of Kauai, and my front waiter Phil and I were working the dinner shift in the main dining hall. It was a typical, steady evening until two ladies were seated in our section. One of our ladies, the Karen of the story, obviously had a little too much to drink. Red in the face, drunken, giggling, you get the idea. During the dinner, the two ladies were having a great time, smiling, laughing, enjoying themselves. They were actually quite pleasant to wait on. The two ladies finished their dinner and left without an incident happening. Bill and I continued working. But about 20 to 30 minutes later, drunk Karen returns. She walks right up to me and says, "My purse is missing." I replied, "Well, no one has sat at the table you and your friend were at since you left, so let's go over there and see if you left your purse behind." I started looking around the table, and the drunk Karen shouts, "Don't look for my purse there." This startled me. After a moment of being a deer caught in the headlights, I ask, "Ma'am, this is where you and your friend ate dinner. If you don't want me to look for your purse here, where should I be looking?" "You and the other waiter took it, and I want it back right now." "Is it possible that you might have left it in your cabin?" This pissed drunk Karen off, and she snapped back, "How dare you ask me such a stupid question? I would know if I left my purse in my cabin. I know you two took it, and I want it back right now." With her screaming, anyone and everyone who could hear her were now looking at us. Phil rushes over to try and calm her down, while I went to find the restaurant manager. I filled him in on what was going on, and while looking backwards towards Phil and the drunk Karen, I warned him. "Whatever you do, do not ask her if she left her purse in her cabin. I did, and it only made her mad." The manager thanked me for the warning, but told me he had to ask her that, as part of the line of questioning he had to do in this situation. Sure enough, the drunk Karen got even more pissed off when he asked her that question. So now we have a full-scale investigation on our hands. Our section had to be closed down. The passengers dining in our area were inconveniently moved to other sections of the restaurant. And the security team had to come in and question all of us. Drunk Karen got even more irate when the security team asked her if she left her purse in her cabin. After the questioning, the security team split up. Some went to look for drunk Karen's friend for additional questioning, while the rest went to look over the security footage. They told us this will take some time as there are multiple cameras that overlapped our section, and they had to review not only the dinner but the 20 to 30 minutes after the dinner, when drunk Karen and her friend left the restaurant, to when she returned to see if we stole the purse. But they assured her that if we did steal it, they will see it in the footage. So now it's just the restaurant manager, one security guard, drunk Karen, Phil, and myself, waiting around in our empty section for the security team to finish their investigation. The manager and security officer did a good job keeping drunk Karen calm for a while, but she eventually lost her patience and screamed, "Why is this taking so long? I know those two stole my purse, and I want it back right now. If you delay any longer, I will call the cops and have them come on board and arrest those two. And I will do this cruise line." Upon hearing this, Phil had enough and started yelling back at drunk Karen. I pulled him off to the side to try to calm him down, but he gets upset at me and says, "How can you be so calm? That lady is threatening to call the cops and have us arrested. Aren't you the least bit worried that we could be going to jail?" Why should we be worried we didn't steal her purse? The security team will verify this when they finish looking over the security footage. The purse will be found somewhere and everything will be fine. So we have nothing to worry about. That did little to no good calming Phil down, so I decided to change my tactics and said in jest, "Think of it this way, we're both still on the clock. We're getting paid right now to stand around and do nothing while we wait for the security team to finish their investigation. Think of it like we're getting an extra paid break during what would otherwise be a standard busy dinner shift." Phil did not find this amusing, and he yelled back, "Why aren't you taking this seriously? We could be going to jail and you're making jokes? Don't you have any pride? Where's your integrity?" So Phil is yelling at me, drunk Karen is yelling at us, Phil is yelling back at the drunk Karen. Things are getting out of hand. Fortunately, a short while later, drunk Karen's friend walks back into the restaurant with the missing purse. When asked where she found the purse, you've probably guessed it by now, it was in drunk Karen's cabin the whole time. I don't think Karen's face could get any more red from the booze she drank and from how angry she was, but she turned 3 shades of red darker from sheer embarrassment. She snatched the purse from her friend's hands and ran out of the restaurant. The friend tries to apologize on her behalf, but Phil rejected it. He yelled out, "That lady came in here, accused us of stealing her purse, threatened to call the cops and have us arrested. Yet when that purse was found, she runs out of here without apologizing to us first? What a bitch!" The restaurant manager knew that emotionally Phil was in no condition to keep working, so he told him to clock off for the rest of the night, to calm down, and that he can clock back in the next day once he's done so. The manager apologizes to me and asks if I could do the close-down procedure for our section on my own. I had no problem with this, since when I was done, I would still be clocking off about an hour earlier than usual. As I was finishing up, the manager calls me into his office and says, "I want to thank you for how you handled the situation earlier tonight. You were calm and collected while Phil lost his cool. Please don't think I was rewarding Phil by letting him off early for his bad behavior. You acted like the experienced front waiter while he acted like the immature back waiter. He wasn't in the right mindset to continue working tonight, and I promise in the next week or two, I will find a night to give you off as a reward for how you responded to the situation." Drunk Karen never returned to the main dining hall to apologize in person, but she did write an apology letter which she had her friend deliver on her behalf. Phil was still angry and wanted to tear up the letter in a horrible rage. This time, I managed to calm him down and convinced him to be the bigger man and just accept the letter. It may not be the apology he wanted, but we are still receiving an apology in the end. 2. Back when I was between the ages of 5 and 7, I don't remember exactly, a lady came over to my house while my friend and I were in my pool and started stuff. Now, a little backstory. I live in an area where there is a huge green belt, a large open area of land, where there is nothing but grass, so I have an area that sees right into it, and we put our pool up each summer. One day I was in the pool with my friend who's a few years older, and everything was fine until this happened. Me and my friend were just playing Marco Polo when some lady came over into my property, and nobody noticed her at the time, until she started randomly yelling at us, saying how we were being loud and that if we didn't quiet down she was going to call the cops on us. "I can hear you from all the way across the field." It's not a field, by the way. "If you do not shut up and be quiet, I will call the police." We weren't even being loud either. Keep in mind, she has to walk roughly half a mile through damp grass and mud to get to my backyard. When we weren't even being loud, and me being a snotty brat I was back then, gave her the middle finger. I don't know why I did. She didn't like that and attempted to hit me, before running off like a crybaby when she couldn't reach me. Cops later ended up showing up at my house, stating that someone called saying people were running around yelling and assaulting someone. "We had a call stating 2 kids were chasing a lady around, yelling at her and verbally assaulting her." My friend responded by saying, "That isn't true. We were in the pool when some lady came by and told us to be quiet or she'd call the cops. But it's private property and she was trespassing on it. But we weren't even being loud." Thankfully, we had cameras that proved that at the timestamp, some lady who turned out to be the caller came onto our property. The camera caught her coming through the greenbelt just to yell at us, and the cop decided to go talk to her. She ended up getting fined for making a false 911 call and was warned for attempting to hit me. My grandma, the owner of the house at the time, was asked if she wanted to press charges on her for trespassing and destroying her flowers. She said no, but that she wants the lady to never have to be near our house again. The lady didn't like that. "My dog likes this spot." "That doesn't matter, and if she returned, she'd be arrested for trespassing." Note, we've never seen her nor the dog before, but it turns out she lives on the other side of the greenbelt, and saw us playing and wanted to start stuff. 3. My BS is in psychology, and one of the classes I took for my major was a basic pharmacology course. One of this course's assignments was a small group presentation. At the end of the class meeting, during which my group has made its presentation, I was walking out the door and one of the other students, who was not in my group, tagged along behind me to berate me because he was hopping mad because he believed my group had done or failed to do something that was unfair to the rest of the class. My group definitely did not cause any unfairness to anybody else, and whatever this classmate was angry about was so silly that I can't even recall the specifics of his alleged grievance. And no, I'm still not sure to this day why this classmate has singled me out. My initial response was to shrug and say, "I don't think we did anything wrong," and kept on walking to my car. My classmate kept following me to continue berating me, and again I shrugged and suggested he have a talk with the course professor or the psychology department head. During the course of this long walk to my car, a few of my friends attempted to chat at me, but really could not because of the young man following me, berating me all the way. I was not super nicey nice and submissive during this incident, but I was never rude. The classmate was much taller than me, and it was getting dark, and a few female college students in the area had recently gone missing. He had nothing to do with it, but he was scaring the bejesus out of me. I finally stopped dead in my tracks, fished my mobile phone out of my purse, and threatened to call the campus police if the young man did not stop following me. He shouted, "What the hell do you think they could possibly arrest me for?" I pointed out that, at least in this state the university is in, the definition of disturbing the peace and disorderly conduct are broadly worded enough that he ought to be at least a tad worried about police involvement in the situation. My classmate then went with the he said, she said line of logic. I said, "No, not really, because more than one friend of mine has witnessed you trailing along at my heels, shouting at me and arguing back." I also pointed out that the disappearances had made all the law enforcement agencies in the area much more concerned about the well-being of young women, and probably also more likely to give credence to the words of young women. Again, this classmate had absolutely nothing to do with the missing students, just want to make sure nobody thinks I'm suggesting he did. I guess I gave this young man a good reality check, as he immediately threw up his hands, then turned around and walked away. Thankfully, he had the sense to steer clear of me from then on. 4. This story came from 5 years ago when I worked for a small IT MSP company. We had 4 full-time techs, with the newest tech having about 5 years of experience and me being the most seasoned tech with nearly 15 years of experience. Between the 4 of us, we managed about 1,000 PCs and about 20 servers spread out over about 30 clients. None of us were assigned to a specific client. We would all take turns grabbing whatever tickets came in. All of our work was lump sum or contract work, so we never had to worry about how long a problem took to fix or how much it would cost the client. We had an account manager who handled all the billing and things with the clients. It was a dream job for a tech. We got to show up and do our jobs and not have to deal with sales or billing, any other client drama. I not only had the most experience, but was also the most self-motivated. I would often come in early and get started on the tickets that came in after hours, and I would assist the other techs if they came across a complex problem. Everyone, including the owner, referred to me as the senior tech, even though that wasn't my title. After 2 years working there, I decided to talk to the owner about a raise. I brought all kinds of information to our meeting, showing that I closed the most tickets and received the most positive feedback from a survey we sent our clients. He agreed to give me a raise, but said he wanted to think about how much to give me, and he would get back to me. A few weeks later, he called a company meeting and announced that he had decided to change some things and that he would no longer be giving anyone raises. Instead, he would set up KPIs, key performance indicators, and the entire tech team would receive weekly bonuses based on hitting those numbers. I didn't like this at all, as it meant my pay was dependent on the performance of everyone on the team and not just me. I found out later one of the other techs had also asked for a raise, so this was the owner's solution to pay us less. The KPIs were simple enough. If a ticket came in, we had to acknowledge it within 15 minutes to achieve a score of 100. If we missed the 15-minute window, the score for that ticket was 0. There were a total of 10 things we had to hit, including how long the ticket was open, before we marked it as complete. If the total score for the week was above 90, we each received a $100 bonus. I saw major problems with this bonus system and I shared my concerns with the owner. He got very annoyed with me and said, "Just hit the KPIs." Cue the malicious compliance. We all figured out pretty quickly how to game the KPI system. We could acknowledge a ticket in the system, but it didn't check if we had actually called the client. We would just email and mark the ticket as reached out to the client. A big issue is that sometimes a client would put in a low-priority ticket and ask that we schedule it for some time the following week. But that would make us miss our KPI. So we would start hounding the client to schedule it sooner. And if they were not available, we would simply close the ticket. We quickly learned to hit our KPIs and start getting a bonus every week. However, it caused our customer service to drop, which is exactly what I had warned the owner of. During the previous 2 years, we had never had a complaint about our service. But now there were multiple complaints every week. This whole process added a ton of stress to us, as we all started to fight when someone missed a KPI, and we all started to work late on Fridays to try and get in those last few numbers. After 2 months, the owner finally realized he had made a mistake. He removed the bonus system without giving us a raise, and asked us to go back to how things were. At this point, I was so stressed I had already started looking for another job, and we had lost 2 clients. I was the first to put in my 2 weeks' notice, but before I left, the other 3 techs had all put in notice as well. The last I heard, the company had lost over half its clients, and the owner had to bring in several new techs, paying them over 20% more than I had asked for my raise. 5. Full disclosure. This happened back in October of 2021. I told a few friends about this, so why not share it here? I'm a 21-year-old trans female, was working in a Casey's General Store. For those who don't know what that is basically a gas station with subs, pizza, and other things. I worked the kitchen, mostly, and enjoyed it, making pizzas from scratch and whatnot. One day, I was a little behind on the pizza orders as it was a rush, and I wasn't as fast as I am now. So I closed the substation as not many people order a sub when I'm there. Then came Kevin, an older gentleman, so I didn't really think much of it. He asks if I can make him a sub sandwich, and I explained to him that the substation is closed due to multiple pizza orders. Kevin was beyond annoyed, and then said, "That's bullshit. I want my sub sandwich right now. Where's your manager?" I said that the manager was up front, and so he had a screaming fit with my manager, saying stuff like, "This is unacceptable. I demand a sub sandwich. You should fire your incompetent worker." Another customer who was coming to pick up his pizza order apologized and I had to deal with that. And I explained I'm used to it, because that's sadly what comes with the job. Kevin started screaming his nonsense at the customers who were passing by, even the nice guy who apologized. I'd had enough of his screaming, so I sighed and stepped out of the kitchen and gave the exact same energy as he did to the customers and my manager. Probably not the best idea, I know, but I couldn't keep listening to his constant belittlement of my manager. Plus, while this is Illinois, I'm from the South, and I take no shit from anyone. That's how I was raised. I proceeded to say, "Sir, do not come yell at my manager about a sandwich. I told you before I am busy with pizza orders. If you want a sandwich, fine, I'll make you a fucking sandwich." I stomped into the substation and treated him the exact way he treated me, my manager, and the customers, and made his sandwich as fast and as sloppy as I could. Again, probably not the best idea, but he annoyed everyone. I thought about spitting in his food, but I ended up not doing that because I still have my standards and I didn't think about it until after he left. I took a big sigh and hurried back to finish the remaining pizzas. Manager came in and I apologized up and down for the sudden outburst. She said it was okay, though next time don't do that, which I usually don't do anyway. This was a once-in-a-blue-moon thing. Never saw that man again, but it turned out this wasn't the first time he pulled that in the store. Pretty sure he's banned from the store, although I have no clue as I left that job weeks after due to schedule problems and a better job opportunity. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, episode 100 and 6. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please do slap the like button around a little bit if you would. Thank you kindly. Okay, let's see. I don't believe there's any other business today. I'm not even going to check. I just believe it. I have faith. So let's move right on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. Today's question is an important one. I feel it needs to be asked. I'm sorry for the controversy. I do try to avoid controversy on this channel, but it must be said. Is an ice cream cone a type of bucket? It is a receptacle that holds stuff, and it transports it from one location to another, from the ice cream pump into your face, or into your mouth, or into your face, depending on how cheeky you've been. So let me know what you think, and perhaps mention other buckets that you've thought of. I mean, I'm having a nice bucket of tea right now. Good stuff. Please leave your answers in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.